Have you ever been that person in an interview who is asked something like, "What are your weaknesses?" And you end up sitting there just like... Well, I have been there, and trust me, you do not want that. Especially if you are a non-native English speaker. Today, I'm going to share with you my job interview questions English lesson. Basically, all that I have learned throughout the years on how to handle job interview questions in English, because I have answered many of them. What you can expect in this video is we will be going over the most common job interview questions and the best answers that you could possibly give, with quizzes thrown in here and there. This video has a lot of information that you are likely to forget in an interview, unfortunately. For that reason, I think it's very important to take notes while you're watching this video and revisit the video multiple times, especially before your interview. This is so that you can focus on paying attention first and then taking notes to review. I promise you, this will put you above 90% of the competition. Now, the first common question that you are likely to be asked in an interview is, tell me about yourself. Without me saying anything, how would you personally answer this question? Pause this video and try to give an answer as if I was your interviewer. If you said something like, I'm from Beijing, I love playing games on the computer, or I have 2 sisters. Even if all that information is true, that is the wrong answer. Interviewers only want to hear what is applicable to the job that you are applying for right then, not your life story. They want to know your career growth and past experiences. Still, when interviewing for a business, information that isn't directly related can still be important to mention, just as long as you can draw a connection between that experience and the position you are applying for, and how the business you're interviewing with can benefit from it. For example, if I was applying for a job that deals with hospitality and tourism, I could say that in my previous jobs, I've worked with employees from over 20 different countries, showing them that I know how to work with and converse with people from all over the world. Another common question that you'll be asked during your interview is, what are your strengths? If I just asked you that right now as your interviewer, how would you respond? When your interviewer is asking you this question, they want to know all of your positive and good qualities. Again, these positive qualities need to relate to what they want and are looking for. So before you head into your interview, it's a good idea to do some research as to what kind of person suits this job. The thing here is not to just list a number of adjectives. Anyone can do this. Instead, use examples to support your point. One of my strengths, for example, is that I am ambitious. But if I just say, I'm ambitious, it means nothing if I don't have examples. If I want to talk about this during my interview, I could say something like this to prove my point. I'm ambitious. I have always set goals for myself, and it motivates me to work hard. I have achieved my goals so far in my training, education, and work experience. And now I'm looking for ways to improve and grow. And I believe I can do that by joining your company. This question's going to come up in one form or another. Some companies won't directly ask you what your strengths are. They might form it with a different question. Like, why do you think we should hire you? Why do you think you are the best person for the job? What can you offer us? And what makes you a good fit for this company? I know it can be hard to know the best ways to answer these questions, especially if you feel like you're lacking in vocabulary. This, my friends, is why you've got to check out FluentU, because you can learn hundreds to thousands of advanced vocabulary words through watching stuff like movies and shows. FluentU takes real-world videos and turns them into bite-sized lessons for you. This way you can actually see the vocabulary that you're studying used in context. And if you want to know specific business vocabulary, you simply type up the word business and all the lessons pertaining to it will show up. For example, there's a video about interview body language, job interview lies, and job interview questions. And those are just some of the videos about interviews. You can try out FluentU for free with my special link in the description below. Do it and let me know how it works for you. Now let's move on to one of the trickiest questions to answer, which is, what are your weaknesses? How are you supposed to make that sound good? I know, it's hard. What your interviewer is actually checking for here is to learn how you handle your weaknesses and overcome them. They also want to know how self-aware you are of your weaknesses, plus how open you are to improving yourself. For example, let's say one of your weaknesses is that you spend too much time on projects, which in the end makes you work slower. You can turn that into a positive by saying, I sometimes am slower at completing my tasks on time because I really want to make sure I get things right. I will double check or sometimes even triple check documents to make sure that everything's correct. If you can mention a recent project or active approach that you have for how you want to manage that weakness and make it better, you'll appear very proactive in the interviewer's eyes. Another trick is to talk about a weakness, like being disorganized, for example, and mention some methods that you are using to help yourself overcome that weakness. For example, if I'm disorganized, I could say something like, I have created a time management system, which allows me to list all my duties and organize all of my deadlines, so I have a clearer idea of what I need to do. Let's practice everything we've learned so far with a quick quiz. Tell me what is wrong about this situation. In an interview for a teaching job, someone is asked the question by the interviewer, tell me about yourself. This person responds by saying, I spent the past 5 years tutoring students from 25 different countries. I just recently got my master's degree in education, and I have 2 brothers. What's wrong with that sentence? The correct answer is that it's wrong to mention that you have 2 brothers, because it has nothing to do with the job that they're applying for. Remember, when someone asks you this in an interview, they only really want to know information that's relevant to your job, your career, or your education. Speaking of education, another common question they will ask in an interview is, tell me about your education. Here, they want to know everything you've studied relating to the job. For example, like your training and other further education. You don't need to tell them everything that you've done, like elementary or middle school, or even really high school. Just the important things. Your degrees, which are 3 to 4 year qualifications from university or college. Diploma, a short-term qualification from a university or college or institute. A certificate, which is a piece of paper showing your participation in a course. Make sure you take all of the necessary documents with you, as they may want proof. Plus, if you've worked on any side projects, a lot of developers do this, for example, you can name that as a big learning experience. And if they ask the question, tell me about your scholastic record, they want to know what kind of grades you've received. Another common question you will be asked is, why did you leave your last job? Or why are you looking to leave your current job? If you're applying for this job and it's the first job that you're applying for, this question does not apply to you, you're good. But for everyone else, listen up. Did you leave your job because you were fired? Did you quit? Or were you laid off? If you chose to leave your old job, avoid saying anything negative about your old workplace or your boss, even if it is true. If you do that, the person interviewing you will just look at you in a negative way. So, you can say the following to explain your situation. I'm looking for new challenges. I feel like I wasn't able to show my talents. I'm looking for a job that suits my qualifications. I'm looking for a job where I can grow with the company. Next is a pretty daunting question, which is, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Here, they're basically asking about your goals. Again, this is related to your career and not your personal life. So if you have a family on the list, don't mention it. Be careful what you say here. You need to show that you're ambitious, but not too ambitious, as those interviewing you might see you as a threat, aka competition. You can start your answer by saying either, by then I will have, or by then I would have liked to, and then supplement it with something like these. Improved my skills, created more of a name for myself in the industry, become more independent in what I do and productive, enhanced my knowledge, receive a higher education, and become a team leader. Let's take a quick pause here for a review quiz. If you're asked during an interview, tell me about your education. What are 3 things that you want to highlight? The answer is degrees, diplomas, and certificates. Remember, you don't need all of the information about high school or anything like that. This next question is pretty specific to English-speaking jobs. They will literally say, what kind of salary do you expect? Here, they're asking you how much money you expect to earn from the job. When they ask you this question, be reasonable. Make sure you do your research on the internet about what the average salary is for that kind of job. Don't say simply, I don't know. It makes you sound kind of unsure. Be confident and name your price without selling yourself too short or going too high. The truth of the matter is they already have a salary in mind, but this is just their way of checking if you know the industry and if you're aware of your own skills. Almost always the interview will end with the interviewer saying, do you have any questions for me? Or us if there's multiple interviewers. Yes, you do have questions, okay? These interviewers aren't just being polite, they want you to speak. I would suggest that you prepare questions before the interview so that you don't freeze up when they ask the question. Remember, they're still judging you as you ask these questions. So don't ask anything that will make you sound silly, such as what kind of work does your company do? Or how much vacation time do I get each year? No, don't do that. You want to find out more. And if you don't ask any questions at this point, they might think that you seem uninterested in the job. So ask questions like the following. Do you have any examples of projects I would be working on if I were to get the job? This shows that you're actually interested in the job and not just being employed. What is the typical day for this position or job? This is so you can find out what kinds of duties are involved and what kind of things you could expect to do on a day-to-day basis. Does the company offer in-house training to staff? This shows your interest not only in getting the job, but also wanting to improve and grow. What's the next step? Here, this is a way of asking what is next in the interview process. They will usually tell you how many days it will take before they reach their decision and will inform you if you need to come back for another interview. Let's review everything once more with a quick quiz. I want you to answer the question, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? As if you were applying for your dream job. Now, since I can't hear your answers right now, leave them in a comment below and I will respond and tell you how you did. Now, my homework for you today is to review everything that I talked about in this video with a free FluentU PDF that I made for you in the description below. Now, you guys have to check out part 2 of this video. My friend Fallon goes over the do's and don'ts of job interviews in English with tons of video and movie examples. It's such a great video and perfect for part 2 of this lesson.